What's up, everybody? It's Chad. We're back again with another episode today. I'm here with my friend Shane from Couchlock. Thank you so much for joining me today, bro.
How's it going? Thank you for having me, Chad.
Of course, man. You know, it's been a long time coming. I've been trying to get you guys on the show for a while, but I think the planet's finally aligned and we got you on, so I appreciate it, bro.
Yeah, dude, I definitely, I knew I had to do it at some point. I saw you for, I think it was 710, yeah?
Yeah, down at Solventless
Yeah, and I was like, let's set it up. I was like, August, it's far away, I'll be fine. Bam, we're here today. Yeah?
Next thing you know, it's August.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show with me and everything. And it's going to be a great episode. We got some great stuff to talk about. But before we do jump into this episode, I'm going to let you guys know what we're going to talk about. So, of course, we're going to talk about Shane and Couchlock and where they came from and all that good stuff in their background. But then we're going to jump into talk about the Albuquerque City Council, what happened with that earlier this week. If you guys haven't been paying attention to my socials or anything, we'll talk about that. And also pretty much, and Gina's going to love this one, the fuckery that's going on in Congress right now. Especially when it, revolving around the hemp stuff and all the bans and stuff. So we'll talk about that. But before we do, Shane, thank you so much again for joining me. And could you actually, do an intro or, introduce yourself to the people who may not, unfortunately, know who you are?
Yeah. So my name is Shane Song, and I'm the owner-operator of Couchlock Concentrates. For those of you that don't know, we're a manufacturer here in New Mexico that specializes in solventless products. So we work with grows all across the state to take their fresh frozen material and make it into dabbable rosin, hash holes, vape pens, gummies that are all from rosin.
Yeah.
Live rosin.
Dope, brother. Well, I appreciate that, and both of us being the solventless hash makers that we are, I can appreciate the craft.
Yeah, man. I always see you guys throwing down. It's funny. I'm always trying to guess where you're working based off like the floor and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that kitchen. You know what I mean?
It's like, wait, I know where that's at. Yeah,
yeah.
We finally got into our new facility and everything, and all that good stuff. So everything's good to go. We're rocking. Just got a few things.
Congratulations, man. Have you guys had your first wash in it already?
Not yet. There's a couple of things we had to fix building wise that we're still kind of working with. We run into issues sometimes. So.
The magical day is coming, man. Yeah, that's exciting. That's really exciting.
Croptober's coming as well too, and that's usually when bulk of our work comes in is during Croptober. So we're kind of like we're gonna fix it, and we're not in a rush to kind of get anything in there until it's ready. You know what I mean?
Honestly, that's the way to do it, man.
Yeah.
Anything that's rushed in cannabis never comes out the way you want it to.
Yeah, because we could have done it all at the beginning and this and that, but we weren't sure if we're going to get licensed. You never know. So it's like, we might as well wait for the bulk of the crazy stuff, for the part after you get licensed and everything. So
that's exciting, bro. I'm stoked. I'm gonna be stoked to try some of your guys' products.
Me too, man. Of course, you can do a collab bait one day or something like that.
Oh, hey, you know what? You figure out how to get fresh frozen through that checkpoint, and I will make it happen.
Even if we have to go up to you to help, do the project, it's no big deal. But yeah, we can figure it out. Some people do it themselves, and we'll just have them meet it up there with you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of collabs that we do. So we do our hash holes. We buy a lot of flour from different people. When it comes to other manufacturers, what would probably be the easiest is to do a collab on something like an egg.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just take the jam down there, you guys make it into eggs, and then you work with it. You know what I mean? Because well, once it's down there, then that's where the trouble comes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Trying to get it back.
And luckily, we have the Sunland Park area, which kind of helps out a lot. With getting.
Oh, it'll take everything.
Yeah. They take all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So
it's a trip, man. I had never been to that part of the state until we started this business, and it's a whole different world. I hung out in Chaparral for a little while, and I was like, this is crazy.
Mad Max down there.
yeah, dude. Like, it's a little scary how far like certain amenities are away from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're not like a actual city. They're ran by the county, so like they don't have street lights. They don't have a lot of rules and regulations that other cities have, but they also don't have a lot of benefits that other cities have. So it's like
Yeah.
they want to stay rural, and like you see those people riding those side by sides or whatever all the time over there. I'm like, yeah, this is freaking Mad Max, bro, and like it's just super dirt everywhere, and it's just a weird area, of the
Yeah,
state.
yeah. Oh, it's got me curious about living like that because it's got to be nice and quiet. You know what I mean? You see all the stars.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
it's
El
definitely
Paso's
got
really close too, so but they're still far from
uh,
stuff. So yeah, yeah, and it might be pretty out there. I haven't spent like a night out there like that, but yeah, it might be
me either. I'm
interesting.
just guessing.
Yeah, right. I'm guessing
So,
too, and
yeah,
they could get blinded
yeah.
out by El Paso for all we know.
Right, right. See, and I'm not familiar with all of El Paso, so it's like I didn't when we did a pop up at House of Flowers down there,
Mhm.
and they were talking about how they get most of the eastern El Paso traffic because it takes so long to drive to Sunland from El Paso. And dude, I had no idea. I didn't realize how big El Paso was. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
huge. Yeah, it's actually
Yeah.
I believe it's bigger than Albuquerque, and
I
getting
I
bigger.
I guarantee it is. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that like the metro area between El Paso, Juarez, and Sun Park, Anthony, all that is a little bit bigger.
So so if you want to, within 60-mile radius of Cruces is 3 million people.
Yeah.
Like it's
Wow.
it's huge. Yeah, because Juarez has like 2 million people alone.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, like I'm
And that's
starting
just
off
in
the
2
bat.
apartments.
Yeah, right. Albuquerque, I think the Albuquerque metro has about 1 million of people total. Like the metro area, and the El Paso metro area is like over like 3 million. So yeah, it's huge. But El Paso alone, I believe, is at around 700,000 or 800,000 itself, just the city. Then of
Wow.
course you had the surrounding stuff. So yeah, it's a big area, and I like to tell people like, oh, why didn't you move to Albuquerque? I'm like, I don't like it, but everything you guys can do, I can do in El Paso, and sometimes more. Because they
Yeah.
have the El Paso Chihuahuas, they play the Isotopes. They
Dude,
have the El Paso
food.
Locomotive, they play the New Mexico United.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely I enjoy myself every time we go down to Sunland Park. The people are always so nice and accepting. And then I get to kind of venture into El Paso just a tiny bit. You know what I mean?
It's
Not too much.
Yeah. No, the
Yeah,
food,
yeah.
the food in El Paso, I will say, amazing. And it's not just like the Mexican food. The Korean food there is
Oh yeah.
fire. They have like a little Korean area of El Paso.
Mhm.
And so, have you been to Jen yet, Gino?
No.
It's a Korean barbecue place over there. You got to try it.
Oh, is
So,
that where in?
It's like East El Paso.
Okay, no. I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
been there.
But yeah, you got to try it out if you ever get the chance, man. It's like a Korean barbecue. Cook your own stuff in a little.
Yeah, you
little
make your
thing.
own.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
dope. It's great, and I haven't had
Yeah,
it since, like,
that was
Hawaii.
what I noticed, dude. The diversity in El Paso of food was like super impressive, and it's just because it's new to me too. I've eaten everywhere in Albuquerque, so I go down there, and that's like it's one of my favorite things to do is just check out the new spots.
Of course, they got good barbecue too.
Yeah, yeah.
Just because I had to look it up.
Yeah.
The metropolitan area of Albuquerque, as opposed to El Paso, is just slightly bigger, but that's probably Albuquerque, Rio Rancho, all those
Yeah.
other stuff like that. It's got like about 955,000, so just under a mil. And then
Okay.
El Paso's got like 877. So they're
Yeah,
really
it's about the
close.
same.
It's about the same.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of the southern communities they count in that.
Yeah, because El Paso, the borderplex is a weird
area.
area as is, because you have areas of El Paso that's New Mexico, and then you have, so like it's not counted towards that because it's a different state.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so like I feel like those numbers might be a little skewed because of that.
They have El Paso, Sunland, Anthony. They're all split.
Yeah, split. Anthony, Santa Teresa.
Oh, Santa
Yeah,
Teresa.
Santa Teresa's, also split between. I call it the paper rip of the state, because that's what it looks like. Someone just ripped a piece of paper after they got done cutting the corner there, and just.
Well,
Yeah.
was it that one dispensary whose parking lot was in New Mexico, but the road going out was in El Paso?
Yeah.
Was it Texas?
I remember when you talked about that.
Yeah, dude, that was funny. And like
yeah.
the fact that the city approved that, but then they denied the independent nation thing. I was like, God, dude, Southern Park is so corrupt. That is wild.
Yeah.
They're like complaining about
Yeah.
that. I'm like, dude, you have a dispensary that's predominantly in New Mexico, but everything else is in Texas.
Yeah, if
Like,
you wanted to leave the dispensary and drive somewhere, you have to go through Texas.
right, like there's no way to
man.
go around, like unless you want to go dirt road, like driving in the freaking desert around it. But I don't even think you could do that. But anyway, I guess we got off a little topic, but these are some really good topics too as well. Like, I really wanted to kind of dig into your background too, like where it started. So like, when did your journey with cannabis start for you?
I started consuming cannabis about 20 years ago,
Okay.
and I was just a kid, and I just wanted to try it because I saw people doing it, and
What were
I
you
didn't
like
I didn't
5?
care for it at first when I was young, you know what I mean? And then when I got a little older, I really started smoking a lot. And I was introduced to BHO in like 2016. I had some friends that were just playing around with glass tubes and stuff. And the first time I actually took a dab, I hated it. I passed out on someone's couch and woke up at like 3 in the morning, and I was like, yo, this takes all the fun out of it. I miss sitting around in a circle and grinding up the bud and rolling and smoking with everyone. And my friends give me shit about it to this day. They're like, you were so anti-dabbing. And then it flipped so quick. I was
Yeah.
like, I just enjoyed how concentrated the high was. I could go to work and not smell like I had just smoked a blunt. And so shortly after I took that first dab, I started learning how to make BHO.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a hobbyist, this is what I like to call it, and did my own BHO stuff. And then a friend of mine it was in 2019, Assurance Labs. So the people that do Fly, Fiore, and Arrow were looking for like someone to run their distillate, their ethanol extraction. And so a friend put me in contact with them and they hired me. And that was my introduction to the legal market. So I did that for 4 years, and the building we're actually in is shared with us in Assurance. So what happened is it's a 3 compartment building, and the middle compartment was their gummy facility. Well, they ended up going to their own building, and that little middle compartment was empty. And so I was working for them, and I told them, I said, I love working with you guys. You're great people, but I hate making distillate. I'm done making distillate. It's the bare bones of the cannabis industry. I want to make rosin. So I said, if you guys let me use your space, I'll get my own licensing. I'll buy my own equipment, and then and I'll run it from there. And so March of 23, I stopped working for them and started running Couchlock all by myself with a couple friends helping,
Yeah.
here and there. And then it was a lot more work than I expected. So I brought on Charlie. So a lot of you guys are familiar with Charlie. He's our graphic designer. We went to high school together. We both like to smoke bud. We would like see each other at the gym and stuff. And he's like, I know you're stoned too. You know what I mean? And so I had seen him doing like digital work with just rosin that he had. And so brought him on. And then my best friend ended up coming and working with us as well. He's my lab manager, and he's kind of the grower amongst all of us. I've grown a little bit, but he's like the guy that can. He really helped us identify some of the traits that we were looking for to make rosin.
Yeah.
To still have quality rosin that can actually yield well enough to sustain a business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So and then our first product hit August of 23, and then we've just been chugging along since then, man. Still in the same spot. We started with rosin, then I think it was hassles, and then vapes, and then gummies, and now all kinds of different edibles: chocolate bars, gummies, lemonades. We've done they're called macaroons. We did macaroons.
Oh yeah,
We've
I
done
think I heard
ice
about
cream.
that.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like we've done all kinds. We've worked with tons of different people, and it's been a huge blessing to, it's almost like a dream come true for me because I love the diversity of the plant. That's
Mhm.
like one of the craziest things about it for me is that it's always, no matter how much I see and smell and experience, I still manage to find things that are different every once in a while, and it's exciting. And so to be able to cruise the state all the way from Farmington down to Jol, you know what I mean, selling the products that I love to make, and then on top of that, working with people. Our
Mhm.
biggest farm that we work with is Four Elements. Shout out to them. They're in TRC.
Mhm.
They're the indoor guys, and then we have like Upriver Herb and HDH, and those are all from the north. You know what I mean? So it's like we get to really show what New Mexico has to offer from all the different parts of the state. And that's where I say it's like it's been a real blessing, dude. I really enjoyed it. I'm very thankful that the community has stood behind us the way it has. There's been a lot of learning stuff. A lot of people think that we're like from another state or we're corporate and it's not. It's me, and 5 other dudes. You know what I mean? And we're all homies. It's
Yeah.
not like like we joke about I'm HR, I'm like, where are all the hats? You know what I mean? But we're not like as big as some people would like to believe. I've seen it on the internet where they're like, I don't mess with Couchlock because they're an MSO. And I'm like, bro, like my mom's side is like, I don't know, 5, 6 generations deep here. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like, that's where it's like, I kind of make a point to tell people that I'm like, grew up in a rancho, family's from Espanola. And you know what I mean? So like, we're very New Mexican.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone that works here was born here except for Marty.
Yeah.
Marty's from I think it's Bakersfield, California.
And there's a lot of
moved
people
here
in the
and he was
industry.
like 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's a lot of people in the industry that are from here too, you know, like, but they, you know, they kind of got accepted by the New Mexicans because, you know, we don't like outsiders, but, you know, some people we do like, and, you know, they get accepted.
Oh, dude, that's why I tell everybody, because, you know, I'm like, I know how it is. And I try not to feel that way about people that are from the outside, but you do have a lot of other people from other states that think they know better. And it's like, hey man, like this plant's been grown everywhere for a long time, and there's a lot of people with a lot of different experiences. I had a friend from Santa Fe that used to grow weed in Madrid and take it to Los Angeles in the 70s. And it's like, that's backwards compared to what we know, you know what I mean? But it was cool, you know what I mean? So yeah.
And we have, you know, our own unique, you know, history with it and everything. And, you know, we're essentially night and day different to the environment of that grows in like California, Oregon, and Washington to start out with. You know, so when people try to come up with me like, oh, I grew in California, I'm like, okay, grow here. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know, like some may figure it out, most do not figure it out because you have like little to no humidity. You know,
dude, there's a small handful of people that I believe know how to cure their flower right in New Mexico. And even then, you can do it right, but once it's in someone else's hands, they handle it wrong, and it's toast in a very short amount of time, you know? But it's good for me, because then it's like, oh, we can't cure it, or let's send it to Fresh Frozen. I'm your guy for that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I hold the same thing as you. You know, I love going around the state, checking out different farms, working with different people and everything, because we essentially do the same thing as you guys. You know, we go and meet with other people, we work with them. You know, because I remember meeting y'all when we were with Cruce's Craft back in 2023. That's when I remember. I think it was at Santa Fe, one of the first times I talked to you guys.
We were at the Green Fuego pop-up.
Yep. The
I
Green
met
Fuego
you
pop-up.
and the twins for like the first time.
Yeah. I went up and talked to y'all. That was actually really cool. I was like, yeah, let's go talk to him, man. You know, like, you know, why not talk to people? We can get collabs and stuff. And, you know, and I loved your branding. You know, you guys did, you not just did, you guys are doing such a great job with your branding. You know, even the 3D printed, you know, stuff that you guys were handing out, or the plushie, love the plushie. You know, the plushie was...
I had to stop making those. We did it once, and then I was like, wait a second, I might not need, not doing that again. You know, we even the couch, dude, he's not on our packaging anymore, just because we don't want to get messed with, you know?
Yeah, definitely. You know, and the way that they're going about it is a little ridiculous in my opinion, because they have adult cartoons and they have existed since the creation of cartoons. So that's why I'm
the definition of what is, I forget what Todd's exact word was for it, but he said, it was an arbitrary word. It was like, it was your own interpretation of opinion. You know what I mean? So that's what bothered me. You know, I saw they went after Jeffrey at High Lonesome, and it was like, this is a watermelon wearing a hat, dude. I get you don't want Captain Crunch on this shit. I respect that. But a watermelon wearing a hat? And then I hope they pay attention to you, because you lit them up. You went down the alcohol aisle and showed them all that stuff. That is, it looks like a little kid would want it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hard Sunny D. That's a children's drink, in my opinion.
Jarritos.
You know what I mean?
You know, like kids love Jarritos. I love Jarritos too, but kids love them too.
Right.
You know, and it's the same damn bottle.
Yeah, dude.
So I appreciate you bringing that up, you know, because both of us, you know, are kind of, I wouldn't say packaged based, but a lot of our art really goes towards the packaging and to the style of the brand. And when you get held back, it makes it harder. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes you come out with some better shit, but you know, it stifles the creation a little bit. You know, you have to think about it and this and that. And okay, how am I going to not offend the state or trigger something? And to be honest, it doesn't look like it's very hard. you know, because they even got mad
Well,
at
and
a
it
photo of
depends from
s'mores.
inspector to inspector.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
And
They've all got different specialties that they focus on
yeah,
and opinions, you
yeah,
know, and possible prior feelings about cannabis before they even started with the CCD.
yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
that's unfortunate, you know. I mean, and I hear that a lot. You know, especially when they make stuff up. You know, people will actually literally call me or text me like, "Hey, man, they told us this and this and this," you know, and I'm like, "Well, let me look at the rules and the laws," and I'll look it up. I'm like, "No, it says this and this. I don't know why they told you that."
Yeah.
And then you know, come find out later that that guy was wrong or whatever, and this and that, and oh, it was just it was a opinion and it wasn't rule or law. And it's like, well, you
Right.
can't make opinion rule or law or make me go with your opinion when it's not rule or law. So, you know, there's,
And then you got to give us time to actually talk about it
yeah,
in an open public forum.
yeah, you know, and
That's,
actually talk with everyone else too. And actually, with the next conversation, we're going to get on that too, because that's another problem in the government is they will claim they spoke with industry or people within the industry. But when you break it down, you actually ask them, it's like, oh, we talked to one person. Oh, we talked to
yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 people or this special group of people with a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. That last part's really important, man.
Yeah, yeah, that last part, you know, pay attention there. You
Yeah.
know, that's usually the way it goes is, you know, they're not talking to everybody. So if you're not actively in their ear, you know, sometimes, you know, stupid stuff will happen. But, you know, I'm glad that you guys are still around, man. You know, you guys are doing your thing, you know, even with like the BS going on, you know, with the packaging stuff, because I think we're all feeling it and kind of like, what the hell? But,
Well,
you
I
know,
appreciate you talking to me about it, man, because it's cool to talk to someone who understands the struggle of not being single source. You know
mhm.
what I mean? Because I know everybody loves single source and that's the way to go. But I'm a firm believer that with enough communication and collaboration, you can get the same quality of product, if not better.
Oh,
And after
definitely.
being on the market for 3 years, I definitely feel like we're getting there. We're making the partnerships with the people that we need to. And honestly, to be 100% real with you, I had to grow some balls when it came to dealing with some of these people and like be honest and say, yo, like this ain't it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? This may yield, but like for what we're trying to do and what we want to be known for, we have to bring a different thing to the table. And that was just trying to battle egos for a little bit was kind of took me a while, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we deal with that too. There's a lot of, you know, every grower thinks they grow the best cannabis, you know, by all
Yeah.
means, you know, whatever. You know, and if you tell them it's not the best or there's an issue, you know, they get offended sometimes. And so, yeah, there's a lot of ego that goes into that because, you know, they don't want their grow to be shit. You know, they spent so much money and this and that, you
Well,
know, that they don't
they
want it to
put
be
a
bad.
lot of love into it, dude. A
Yeah.
lot of those people, you know, it's their livelihood,
Hmm.
you know, and they have done it for a while, and they have what they would believe is pride. But I feel like when you just love something that much for that long, you actually just get a little bit blind
Hmm.
to like the preference that you create in your own head. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, I wouldn't say we go off of trends, but, you know, things that are a little more consumer friendly get overlooked in those situations too because they stop looking at, okay, what does the customer want, you know, or what's really out
Yeah.
there, you know, they just, this is what I like, this is what I want, and it keeps going with that direction without even asking for outside opinions, you know, like, hey, what do you think of this, or hey, what do you think of that? Because yeah, you know, like you guys are held in high regard. Even when I walked in the studio today, one of the people that worked here knew exactly who you guys were just based off of the t-shirt, like, oh yeah, I know who
That's
Couchlock is. I
cool.
was like, that's great, you know.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah, I want to keep it that way, man. And I want people to know that, like, hey, like we've got a lot of new systems in place coming online with our website. We're doing a lot of different grading sheets of every single rosin that we produce, and that information is going to be available on our website before the products are available, so people can get on there and see, hey, they rated this. They said it tastes like this. It has these effects, and out of a score out of 10 they gave it this, and
yeah.
it's like that's kind of up my alley because the market has matured to the point where like you got to be real with your customer about
Mhm.
what you're providing. You know, there's no more bullshitting,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
No
You
more
know
of
what I
this. I
mean? Like,
have premium.
yeah, and on that note too, like we're gonna change our tiering system a little bit with the names because I called our best stuff reserve, and I
Mhm.
didn't think about it, but you can make some really bomb stuff and it have a ton of it, and then it's not really a reserve. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that's where like I appreciate everyone that stuck with us and stood behind us and rocks with us because the lessons we had to learn to make it better are they're hitting, they're taking effect. You know what I mean? So
definitely, you know, and I think you guys have done it right. You know, you've created a community, you've created a great product, you've created customer trust.
thank you.
You know, you've
Thank
created
you.
a brand that people, you know, like I said today, you know, it's a brand that people trust and talk about. So much so that they think you're an MSO, which is, to be honest, if someone told me I'm an MSO, I'm like, that's kind of a fucking compliment because you guys think I'm like rocking it.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it. I've just seen a lot of MSO behavior, and that's not what we're about at
Yeah.
Couchlock. You know what I mean? Like if someone wants to smoke with us, we'll smoke with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody's gonna turn that down. You
Yeah,
know what
definitely.
I mean? We're not new to it. We're true to it. I hate sounds so corny, but that's it's just the truth.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%. You know, and you know, we've been technically competitors for years, but at the same time, we've had a great relationship. I see you guys as, you know, as friends and stuff like that. You know, not just
Yeah.
someone else
Yeah.
in the industry. We're all in this together. And
Well-
don't get me wrong, there's not everybody has the personalities that match to work together, so I get that.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes you do, and you know, if you vibe, you vibe. You know.
No. Well, and there's when it comes to collabing, like I've talked to a lot of other manufacturers, and it's a very doable thing, dude. I think some people would be hyped to see us work with some of these other people that are our competitors. You know what I mean? I see it as a great opportunity to create some excitement in the market, you know? But I get it. There's a lot of ego and to be honest with you, it all starts with like how you first meet people, and I'm not the best at that, dude. I'm kind of a quiet person if I don't know you. And I know some people are like, "Oh, he thinks he's hot shit." It's like, no, I'm just a weird person that don't want to talk to anyone right now. You know? Especially at those big ass pop-ups.
No, 100%, man. You know, and me, I'm used to talking to people, so you know, I can be kind of loud. I've actually been told by one of the guests when I met them in person. He's like, "Man, you're louder in person than you are on the podcast."
That's funny. That's great.
So you know, I get it. You know, when we met you, I thought it was all good vibes. You know, nothing but you know,
man.
chill, good vibes. You guys were all chill. You know, and so willing to just talk and kind of share stuff and you know, kind of compare things and this and that. What do you guys got on? Oh, we got this going on. And you know, it was more friendly than it was, you know, competitive. And don't get me wrong, like we both have our businesses, but we also have things that make us different too, that people like on both sides. So I mean, I think it complements each other more than anything.
I definitely agree with you, man. You know, and I think one of the driving factors for that is that rosin is kind of a new product. You know, yeah, there are some people that'll be like, "Oh, I've been making rosin since 2015. I don't want to hear it." It's like, well, for the legal market here in New Mexico, it's pretty new, and a lot of us are learning together, and a lot of us do ask each other questions. And there have been times that I ask people questions, and people ask me questions, and you just got to be real and be like, "Hey, man, I'm not really comfortable sharing that." You know, just be honest about some of the things, but still continue to talk to people and try and collaborate in ways that can be mutually beneficial. That's one thing that's huge with what we do, and you know this because you don't grow. So you have to sit down with these growers and you have to show them like, listen, this is mutually beneficial, and I gotta give you the numbers of how. I need you to know that I'm not doing this just to have one good run with you. With the way my business is set up, I need you to come back all the time. You know, so that collaboration I think gets overlooked a lot by the consumer. You know, everyone wants to talk about single source, but there is some beautiful magic that happens between collaborators.
100%. You know, like with us, you know, one of the best farms we work with and he puts out quality is High Lonesome. You know, of Jeffrey over in Silver State. You know, he puts out some great. I love his gorditas. You know, like I love whenever I run into those, I love them. And you know, he makes some really, he grows some really good cannabis. You know, when we washed it, I was like, man, this is great. One of my favorites, Pop Star. You know, it tasted phenomenal. One of my favorite ones, you know? And
when I saw his grow on Instagram, it looks great, dude.
Yeah.
It looks very clean and it looks big. You know what I mean? It looks like he knows what he's doing with those greenhouses for sure.
Well, you know, to be honest, like it looks big, but it's not huge at all. Like he just knows what he's doing to where he can utilize the space that he has as much as possible. And so I give him props for that because when I went there, I was like, damn, these are some big ass plants.
Yeah. I couldn't tell from the videos on Instagram, but I was like, this man has a large farm.
Some of the plants were over 6 feet tall for sure.
Dude,
you know, there's a few times where I was grabbing a leaf and I'm like 5'11", so I was like, all right, yeah, these are some big ass plants. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, they're nice, and we're looking forward to go back in the fall. Of course, we got some other people, especially the micros here in Cruces. Like the micro producers. We have some really great ones. That we want to work with, and we're just kind of
Yeah,
waiting on
dude,
them. So
tear it up down
yeah,
there, man. I think about it a lot, and I'm like, bro, nothing would break my heart more than like them letting my generator die at the checkpoint, and then all that weed just melting in a freezer. So it's like, dude, you've got so many interesting grows down there. I hope you guys just absolutely go for it.
I appreciate it, man. And we are, we're figuring it out. There's more people coming online all the time than people that we meet. That's why I love going to events, and especially like in different cities, because it's almost like every area of the state has like a different kind of micro that you don't really find outside of like
dude.
that area, and it's so cool to see. And then the people, you have like the connoisseurs of the area. Sometimes they'll bring it to you, and you're like, dude, I've never even heard of these people. This is fire.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
I try and pride myself on doing that, dude.
Yeah.
That ties back into all the Instagram shit. It's
Mhm.
like I'm fucking scouring the internet trying to find these people, and then I'll cold call them. I'll just straight up message them and say, hey, your stuff looks fire. Is there any chance that we can visit the farm? Are you interested in making fresh frozen? And I've had quite a few people tell me to fuck off. Oh shit.
Yeah, you're good, man. We're not on the radio.
Okay, cool.
It's the fucking internet. Come on.
Yeah, that was oh shit. No, I messed up.
Oh fuck, shit, asshole.
By the way, cannabis legalization just subscribed.
Oh
And
shit.
it said that it took them a while to find the chat, but we're glad they did.
Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it's the homies, the cannabis legalization, Miggy and the homie Tom.
Tom.
Yeah. They just got their dispensary. Tom's a lawyer. Miggy, he's an advocate over in Washington, a long time over there and
Oh,
everything.
And I say, is that in Illinois, right?
Illinois, yeah, they're in Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Chicago,
Well,
yeah.
so they're not in Chicago. So if you guys are in the area in Illinois, check out Pekin Dispensary over in Pekin, Illinois, is where they're at.
Yeah,
So
that's what I thought they were in.
it's right across the street from a courthouse. Come to find out. So
Find out how many of them judges stopping by to say hi to the lawyer.
I know, right? Yeah, how many of the prosecutors come by?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My phone's about to die.
Oh, no worries, man. We're just getting the tour of the facility. We're getting a real live action shot of what's
you
going
want
on.
to see all these guys in here?
What's up, guys? How's it going, brother? Yeah, doing the show right now. You guys are going to be on the show tomorrow, so.
Sorry about that.
No worries, man. But yeah, I love this fact that you're able to talk to people about stuff, and I figured the hash conversation would be great for you to talk about and everything. And I do want to reiterate too that I was same as you, and I want to say that earlier. I was a flower guy until I met Josh and Jeff. And even then, I did BHO on the side here and there, as a patient, I did my own. But when it came to everything else, I was just like, man, flower, I don't really give a shit about everything else. And night and day difference, it changes it, and it's the craft. And once I started making it, I was like, oh, okay. It was another level of growing, because I've been growing since like 2012, 2011. It's another level because you can't just grow it. You have to like grow it to a different potential.
Oh, dude, and I mean the amount of time to pheno hunt for, something that washes, the needs that it has, as far as what you can and cannot do, make a huge difference as well. So I feel you on that, man. I won't lie, it made me feel kind of special to be able to do it, because it's not like the hardest thing in the world, but it makes you feel good, dude. It's a cool thing to be able to do, Yeah. And now when people ask me about it and they're like, oh, you guys are in the lab, you guys are scientists, and I'm like, honestly, I feel like if anything, we're closer to bakers.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of like the same procedural stuff, you know what I mean? That's of the same level of difficulty of someone that's a really good baker. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's
Did we lose him?
I think that might
Oh
be
no, it died. His phone died. We're gonna have an edit, Gino. I'm sorry.
the fuckery.
We'll wait for him to come back.
Yeah, we'll give him as soon as he gets his phone back on. And did that. What did that? The stream is still live.
Yeah, the people on the stream. Hey, how's it going? I guess I'll dance for you guys or something or strip.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Twitch doesn't like that.
They do if you're. Well, I don't know. I'm not a hot chick, so they probably won't. Yeah. One time I was done watching my friend's stream, and it was like when I first got this, I was trying to figure out the algorithm. I saw him like a thumbnail.
Yeah.
There you are, brother. How's it
Oh,
going? There we
yeah.
go. Now you're back.
Can you hear me?
Cannabis
Yeah, I can hear
legalization
you.
says
Oh man, I
good
lost them.
shit. Talk about Texas new laws, but don't worry, we'll get to that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, we'll talk about it. Was that Miggy?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think Mickey or one of them.
Miggy or Tom? It's probably Miggy. Shout
My
out. to him.
bad, dude. I got a phone call and it kicked me out.
Oh, no worries, man. It happens. You know, like I said, we can do edits and everything, so we'll just edit that part out tomorrow. But the
No, we
live.
don't.
I cannot hear a word you're saying, man.
Oh no, he can't hear us.
You can't hear us?
No, he can't hear us. But yeah, dude, I really cool. It's really cool that you guys have done what you've done, and the fact that we can talk about the hash stuff, because like a lot of people don't want to talk about how they make hash or this and that or how it's done, or they're not too knowledgeable about it. I found out too, because some people still don't know the difference between rosin and resin.
Yeah. I saw something like that today. I saw a store post another brand, and they were like live resin. I was like, I'm 90% sure that's live rosin, but you do you.
Yeah, it's like that's your advertising,
I
not
don't
me.
think you want to do that with resin.
Well, for the audience out there listening who's curious, would you mind telling them what the difference between rosin and resin in Barney terms, I guess?
Yeah, rosin is made with solventless. So, I mean, if you want to get real technical, water is a solvent, but it's made with ice and water. And then resin is generally made with a solvent such as butane, pentane, or propane even. And, I mean, you have like distillate's like a weird one, I guess, if you want it to be 100% real, because you use ethanol, a solvent, to extract it, but you do so many passes of distillation that it doesn't have any solvents in it. It doesn't have hardly anything in it besides THC. You know what I mean? So that's the bigger difference, though, is the methodology of extraction.
Yeah. Thank you.
They had a question.
What's up?
Do they hold on to their hash? We have a company here that puts a slab to the side for aging.
Interesting.
So we do cure. Like curing is a real thing that we do, but that's like post-processing, post-press. And so it goes into jars, and you'll let it cure for, depending on the strain, dude. You're what you're looking for is a certain marbling texture. You know what I mean? And then you can start whipping it. We've done it all different ways. You know what I mean? We've done it where we would whip it right away. And there are some rosins that you can't do that with, dude. It's Jolly Rancher hard. Like, you need to let it cure. And then there's a lot of people that cure different. Some people will do a tabletop cure at room temperature. Some people want to cure in a fridge. Some horrific people cure in the heat. You know what I mean? It's all depends on what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? How fast they're trying to do it, what they're trying to make. And in my opinion, dude, I'll be honest with you, there's some stuff that needs a tabletop cure. You know what I mean? There is some stuff that needs to sit at room temperature for a day. And I know that a lot of purist people are like, oh, there's no way. But it's like, dude, some of these outdoor strains, the rosin is so thick and Jolly Rancher like that if you leave it in the fridge to cure, you're not going to see it marble the way you want it to for a really, really long time. And then your producer's going to be like, yo, it's taking so long.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing is, that is one of the benefits of single sources. They get to play with all of that.
Yeah.
But they don't produce as many products. You know what I mean? So really understand. And then this was something I had to learn is what is the goal of your hash making operation? You know what I mean? Do you want to serve the whole state? Do you want to have a plethora of stuff? Do you want to just do one strain at a time and do your very best at it? You know what I mean? Like, so that's where it's going to come down to, like, if you can get out to the bars, talk to your hash makers, trying to figure out what they're about, who they're working with and what they're about, because that's the other side of the equation. The growers got to be on the same page. You know?
Definitely.
And you only want it cured in the fridge? Well, hey, bro, expect another month. Yo, Mello, don't use the drill. Sorry, man. Yeah, sorry, dude. He's whipping with a drill, and you'll just hear.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, welcome to the. Today it's just real life podcast shit.
Yeah, sorry. So, like, just so you know, like, this is like, so my desk is in the corner of the lab, dude. We're not like, you know what I mean? It's not a big old crazy operation. It's 6 dudes and I sit in the corner here. You know what I mean?
Next to the freeze dryer, yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
I get it 100%, man. And going back to the growers and everything, you know, one thing that, you know, I've also noticed is some of them are hesitant to tell you like how long they spray or if they sprayed. It's like, bro, we just need
they
to
lie to
know.
you. They lie. I've been lied to, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then it all comes out in the testing. And
exactly.
people, they don't want to admit it because of their ego again.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it's like, some of them are like, oh, well, I just use lost coach plant therapy. And it's like, dude, that's a bunch of essential oils.
Mhm.
Like, that's going to get rosin. Like, you can't spray anything.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You're not supposed to spray anything.
yeah.
That's another downfall, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. You know, because you can see it in the wash too. You know, like there's been times where I've washed something from somebody and I'm like, this looks like a frappuccino, cappuccino froth, dude. Like, what did you do? And you're like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like, we're just wondering. Like, we got to know what's in it too. You know, like what's going on here? You know, that's not supposed to happen.
When we first started, we saw some material that I was like, what is in here? You know what I mean? Like we had the ash, and then we had some like weird looking red powder along with it, and I couldn't figure out what it was, so we didn't release it.
Yeah.
Because it passed testing, is what was scary. Because it passed testing, and then I really kind of paid attention to that, and they have the things that we need to pass for, but there's a lot of stuff that they don't test for.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of other stuff out there too. It doesn't mean that it's not going to fail because of it. You know?
100%. You know, and they did try to change the rules to allow remediated cannabis on the market, and a lot of us, you know, said no, please don't do that. That just sounds like it's just, you know, that's going to cause a huge mess, and just it doesn't sound healthy. Someone's going to get sick.
You're just giving people room to go far.
Yeah, and someone's not
want.
going to remediate it correctly, and someone's just it's not going to go well. You know, because you know
When
how many people
CRC first came out, I was like, hey, this is cool. You know what I mean? Like I had respect for what it was, but then, you know, everyone figured out you could make a boatload of cash on crack, and CRC became what it is now. You know what I mean? But like, if you had some good live resin and you could explain to me the media you used in your color remediation cartridge and the filtration steps that came after that, you know, then I might feel confident in taking it. You know, but I want to know.
Yeah, definitely, because you know there's so many people that cut corners in the industry. You know that it's sad to say this, but it's more rare to see someone do it right versus not right. You know, like you see so many times someone just will not do it right or just refuse. Oh, it'll be fine this way or whatever, and you're just like, bro, what the hell? So that's why I don't usually mess with BHO either. Just recently, the other day, I found some BHO that was actually really tasty. And even like my homies, like, you know, Josh and Jeff are like, yeah, that was actually pretty good. And I'm like, you guys are liking it too? Wow, shit. You know,
well,
so
dude, the fact is, and I guarantee you've seen like Douglas on Instagram and stuff, mouthing off. But there are some strains that, and terpene bouquets that you can't get the solventless extraction.
Yeah.
Water destroys the trichome heads, and you have a cascading effect where your water becomes, you know, very high concentration of, not high, but it gets concentrated with those terpenes, and then it just keeps eating those trichome heads. And some of these plants don't produce a head that you can actually catch. You know what I mean? But when you put it in a column and pack it or fill it with butane, it just melts everything off of it. Not like literally melts, but it breaks it down and
pulls it right off.
In the solvent. Yeah. So like I got respect for BHO. That's where I came from, and I have love for it. I smoked pounds of it probably. So like it's just nowadays I would much rather smoke rosin.
Me too. I'm with you on that. And you know, with the static electricity stuff coming out too, technology, and you know those companies pushing that, we'll see where it goes in the future.
You'll know though. I mean, you got to look at like the variables of like first of all, what's important with our products. People smoke rosin because of the flavor and because it doesn't have any solvents in it, right?
Yep.
I mean, there are some people that smoke it for potency, but if you're really trying to get high, it's, you know, unless you got some money to spend on it, it's probably not your best bet.
Yeah.
But in knowing that, you know, what we're looking for is the terps, the taste. You know, like that's where it becomes important to like Dude, I'm so sorry. I just totally forgot what the fuck I was saying. I,
I know there's
I know
so
we're
much going
talking
on right
about
now.
terps. Yeah, no, dude, what were we talking about?
We're talking about the terps and stuff, BHO, and how not everybody will do it correctly to the point where it is a very good product, or like you and I would feel comfortable kind of smoking it kind of situation.
Oh yeah. What I was saying is that like we're understanding like what parts of our product are important and its taste. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so we have to play to that strength. We have to look at the variables that are tribute to that. When you're working with, obviously you need fire cannabis that has that taste already, but then you need the proper temperatures in your washroom and your freeze dryers in your press. Whenever you talk about static separation, that doesn't have anything to do with taste. It's just trying to get impurities out of your rosin so it's cleaner.
Mhm.
Well, like there's other things that you can do too. You know what I mean? A lot of people use bags, switch to screens.
Yeah.
Bags get stretched out. They get dirty. Really hard to clean compared to a screen. You know what I mean? And then micron separation, agitation in the wash. You know what I mean? Like those variables, if that's why it's kind of a bummer that like that's what's coming out. That's like our new frontier of rosin is like, because like if you're already doing a good job at your micron separation, your collection, your agitation, you should, and the weed is clean and it doesn't have any bugs in it or sprayed on it, then like you don't have a lot of contaminants to sort out unless you're beating the shit out of your stuff. So it's like I'm like, oh cool, static, what you freaking do, you know what I mean? But I wish we had new technology that was like, this is going to ensure that you get these terps 100%. And
I
I
agree.
thought that was a real thing with the hashy link that you put into the freeze dryer,
Mhm.
but the cost to benefit ratio, you know what I mean, wasn't there as much as I hoped, especially for the pace that we work at. You know what I mean? Because you were using that little machine to understand when you had dried your hash perfectly, and you weren't circling off terps. But to be able to have that data, you got to be testing stuff often, and every other variable's got to be completely perfect. So that's where it's like I'm really curious. The naked press is the only thing that I think is like possibly like a new frontier for us. You know what I mean? It's a bagless press. It's fucking $10,000 a press.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that better pay itself off, right?
Yeah. Well, again, like I understand people are worried about chemicals in a lot of the different bags and stuff, and I respect that. You know what I mean? But are you going to be ready to drop $200 on a gram?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Are you willing to like pay for that? And when you ask why, are you going to be okay with the answer that like, look, we got 6 presses. You know what I mean? You want me to spend $60,000 on presses? The price of rosin is going to go up, man.
Yeah,
you know
I gotta pay for that.
yeah. So it's. I mean, like I understand what it is to be a customer, and I respect that. You know what I mean? But there's a lot that goes on in these businesses, and you know that too. You know what I mean? And it's our industry is one of the only industries where everything else is getting more expensive, and our products are still dropping in price.
Yeah, and like I get told all the time, oh, you're probably only going to get this much for it, blah blah blah, and I'm like, maybe for you, like, what the hell?
Yeah,
So-
I have people tell me you manufacturers are making all the money. I'm like, dude, I don't know. I wish, you know what I mean? That would be cool, but it's not. It's especially with the splits that we offer. You know what I mean? We had to make it sweet to get people to want to do it.
Yeah, it's like I'm not getting a majority split most of the time, man.
No.
Yeah. If he was making,
I'm excited for 50-50 a lot of them.
Yeah, like if I hit 50, I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, if he was making any money, he'd have his own office.
Right.
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm like, people need to come to my house and see how I live. I got folding chairs in my dining room. Like, I'm not getting super rich off of this, especially with taxes.
Well, you're creating such a great brand that you're fooling people, making you think that it is, but you're just building a brand up the proper way is the way I see it.
Yeah, dude, and exactly. And I want everyone that works here to be happy, which is a tall ask. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
But we try and make it.
Well, before we move on to the next topic, brother, because we're going on a little further than I thought, but it was a great conversation, so I didn't want to stop it. Don't apologize at all. What are you guys' future plans?
I mean, honestly, dude, I'm slowing down production. I'm gonna start slowing it down because I'm getting so picky with all these different growers.
Yeah.
And it came from really understanding what I want out of this business, and what kind of life I want to live. My mom is living with me now, and I'm taking care of her, and I need time to do. What I mean? So, it's it all led to the choice of like, hey, I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna focus on making better quality, and I'm gonna be able to live the life I want. And I mean, the other guys enjoy it too. Almost every Friday is a half day. You know what I mean? So everybody's happy.
Hell yeah, man. That sounds like something great too. I think the consumer is slowly moving more towards quality here in New Mexico too. So I think that's a great shift for you guys and a great time to shift.
Yeah, and then transparency is the other thing. Like I told you about that grading and having it all updated on our website, and then the media we're doing. You're gonna get to see a lot of the behind the scenes of the grows we work with and what we do. And it's kind of spilling the tea a little bit, but I think it's time for people to be able to see it, and maybe they'll value things a little bit differently too.
Maybe, and I'm with you on that. The more people see like how it's made, I think the more respect they have for when the product gets to them at the end too. They realize how much work actually went into it, because I realize how much work goes into craft products after making craft products.
Have you guys ever had a ghost wash?
No.
Oh, dude. So it's like a wash that you do and you don't get any ash.
Yeah.
And it's because you did something. Yeah. And that'll make you feel some type of way.
Actually,
too.
yes, we have actually. Now that I think about it, yeah, we have. And that shit, it was 100 pounds.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Damn.
It was 100 pounds. Yeah, we got bamboozled for that for sure. So
yeah, and then the grower's like, "Yo, you're a thief."
right? It's like I didn't even get anything.
Both got robbed, dog. It wasn't me. I promise.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't even get shit out of that, bro. You got everything.
Yeah.
No, I get you, brother. Well, appreciate it, man. We're gonna move on to the next topic here in a second. But before I do, where can people find you who unfortunately don't know who you are?
Oh, dude, we're in dispensaries all across the state. We're one of our biggest partners is Dark Matter and Top Crop, Verdes. Selling Parks popping, dude. Everyone down there's got Mango, Astro Buds, Apogee. Who am I forgetting? And then we got the homies in Santa Teresa, Garden of Dreams, High Life, Public Repair. We're a little bit of everywhere. And I will tell you, if you have a product that you want to find and you need help, message Instagram, because I do that. I will help you find it.
Awesome.
But we're all across the state.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it, man. And I kind of figured that because I see you guys everywhere.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations on the success, brother. I wish you nothing but luck going further and everything. So let's continue on to the next conversation that at hand and everything. And this kind of deals with your area of operation, the Albuquerque City Council. So earlier this week, a couple days ago, Albuquerque City Council had a city council hearing, as they do. As a city council, they have those. And they're on it during it. I'm trying to think of the way to word this because it went so damn long. So they started like 2, 3 p.m. or something like that, maybe 4. It went on to midnight, beyond midnight.
Wow.
Like the cannabis part started at like 10:30 at night. It didn't finish till right before midnight. So like I didn't get much sleep that night because I was watching this and staying up and everything. So they had this hearing and they were wanting to change a certain city ordinance when it came to cannabis dispensaries and smoke shops. They wanted to go, and I'm reading this directly from the wording of it. They wanted to go from 660 feet between cannabis dispensaries to 1,320 feet, like more than about double it. Yeah, so they just about doubled it to what it was, and there was really no reason for this. They cite like issues with crime. These are hot spots for crimes, this and that. But one thing that is always popping in my mind is why is it always alcohol gets left out of these conversations? And we'll get back to that in a second. There's a reason why I mentioned that. So this was something that they tried to put on the agenda, I guess, a few weeks ago, but they recommended no, but it still got on there somehow. And now we're here, or a few days ago or something. So now we're here and, it's on there and they're debating it and everything. However, while I'm watching this, I'm realizing that a lot of the city councilors are not going for this. They don't like it. They're noticing how discriminatory it is. And the fact that they don't do this for any other industry. They don't tell any other industry anywhere in the ordinances that they cannot be next to each other. So what it is they said that not only can cannabis dispensaries have to be further from each other now, smoke shops and cannabis dispensaries can't even be near each other. So they have to be further from each other. And there was no real reason for this other than scare tactics, fear mongering, and probably a very strong lobbyist that was in their ear. And yeah, you're looking at me, and I was like confused too. I was like, this doesn't what?
Well, I would have to. I mean, maybe it's my tinfoil hat, but I would think that it's lobbyists. You know what I mean? Because to group cannabis dispensaries with smoke shops I mean, I get there's some overlap in demographic, but not always, dude. A lot of them smoke shops make majority of their money selling vapes or bubbers or Galaxy Gas or other things that or paraphernalia that are kind of associated with drugs that may cause crime. So I think that's the first thing that needs to happen is separate cannabis away from the smoke shops, and hopefully that's what those city council members were kind of aware of. Is that they're to lump them together just.
Yeah, and a lot of the public comment too also reiterated that a lot of city ordinances and variances when it comes to stuff like this is rooted in racism, so that way they can keep one area predominantly something and another area predominantly something else. And that was an interesting take that I heard. I've never heard someone make that argument, but it does make sense. A lot like the HOAs. HOAs are historically known to be a racist thing to keep the color folk out of the good neighborhoods, because of the rules and everything like that, and they can implement them and kind of single people out. And that's kind of what I was getting from when they made that public comment. This also punishes people unfairly because there's already not that much space that they give cannabis and top tobacco people, that now you're making it even less of an area that they can work in. And I'm glad that a lot of the city councilors just did not see this. They did not like it. The one who was the biggest proponent for cannabis in general, her name was Tammy, and I'm probably going to fuck this up, so my apologies, city councilor. Her name was Tammy Fibelkorn. Yeah, Fibelkorn. I hope I said that right. It's an interesting name. Never seen it before.
Spell it for me.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
But her last name at least features Korn, like the band. So that's kind of interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, that's kind of cool. But she was a huge proponent of the cannabis. She even gave a shout out to Carver Family Farm. Erica Brown, she made a public comment too against this as well. And she mentioned that she goes there all the time. She says, I like dispensaries. I like smoke shops. She's like, I don't like cigar lounges, but I'm not going to use my power to get rid of them. She said, this isn't fair for the cannabis, businesses. We don't do this with any other industry. Why are we doing this to these two industries? And she said it's because someone in the administration wants a boogeyman and they don't like the way cannabis looks. They don't like the way smoke shops look. So they want to make it the boogeyman. They want to make it the evil one. She said, but the real businesses that have issues here, and I see this all the time, and they lead in crime, theft, drunk driving, are the bars, are the alcohol establishments. She said these ones do lead, and for what I see in her own research, etc., they are the ones leading in the issues in the city. Because, and to be honest, to be fair, growing up, going to Albuquerque, whenever I turned 21, whatever, I would go downtown, and every time I go, some stupid shit happens at the bars. Cops are always down there. Someone's always getting arrested. I've watched dudes get chased on the horses and shit by the cops. It's always a mess down there. Like, that's not what I see at consumption lounges ever. Like, you never see a shit show like that going on. Even when there's clusters of dispensaries near each other, you don't see the crazy madness that goes on in downtown Albuquerque as you do with drunk people in the bars. And she had a great point that these conversations are always missing the alcohol component. It's always either cannabis or tobacco are being the ones that are seen as the bad kids, the evil ones, the ones causing all our issues, but alcohol is just left alone. But in reality, the only reason why DWIs exist in the first place is because of alcohol. And the reason why a lot of these laws exist the way they do is because of alcohol and the issues that it's brought. And actually, a lot of the cannabis regulations that we see in our state and other states are based off of alcohol laws to start with. So in my opinion, we're already starting on the bad foot because I believe alcohol was regulated incorrectly. The whole monopoly part, they keep expanding access to it, not holding people accountable, et cetera, et cetera. And them just getting every benefit of the doubt that you possibly can, think of. I think we mentioned this earlier about, when I went to this Walmart and I literally called them on their bullshit when they tried to say that, the wine boxes don't look like Fruit Loops, when I literally showed them a wine box that looked like goddamn Fruit Loops.
Yeah. Oh, they're bad. They're real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so far, what is your kind of thoughts on this and everything? And I'll give everybody the end of vote and how this ended and everything. But, so far, what's your thought on that?
Man, I think I definitely, so first of all, I don't drink. I'm not a pro alcohol person at all. I think the way that it kind of makes people act isn't the greatest. You know what I mean? And then, of course, our state's got an awful history of drinking and driving. But I think because alcohol has been socially acceptable for so long, we're fighting a huge uphill battle right there. You know what I mean? It's not going to go away, dude. I hate to say it, but we're in our community, not a lot of people are big drinkers, but amongst the rest of society, there is, you know what I mean? And so I think the best thing we can do is, call out the differences like you are, call out the double standards, you know what I mean? And ask for tighter laws against the drinking and driving and the different problems that come from that. But I hate to say it, dude. I just feel like the energy that we put into fighting and trying to take down alcohol is better used than trying to bring up cannabis, because it's just historically been around for so much longer. And with this, like the city council thing, and they're talking about crime. If we really want to talk about crime and what needs to be taken care of, it's other drugs. Fentanyl needs to be, why are you wasting any time talking about tobacco or weed whenever we still have a huge opioid fentanyl crisis here in the state? You know what I mean? And that's where it's like, I don't know how to feel about it some days. You know what I mean? Some days I get real mad and I want to fight against alcohol, and then other days I almost just like, I don't want to be compared to it. I don't want to think about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
The conversations are different when it happens with them. And I had to tell somebody that today, we can talk about cannabis and drinking. Cannabis and driving when that actually becomes a problem. When that actually becomes an issue, because these conversations between the two, they need to happen differently. The conversation of alcohol and cannabis, they don't need to happen in the same breath. They need to be two total different conversations.
You need to keep it real, dude. You need to keep it real with people about, cannabis affects every single person differently.
Yeah.
I don't know if alcohol does. Yeah. I really don't. I know a lot of people that, they smoke and they drive, and they're better drivers for it. They drive slow as shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm not saying it's right. It's just like that's a real thing. You know what I mean? If you want to talk about giving someone a DUI for consuming cannabis, like, how are you going to gauge that?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? How are you going to say, oh, well, you were super high? You know what I mean? It's like, your eyes are closed and they look glazed. It's like, I'm half Asian and I have allergies. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And that's my point about it too. We could have that conversation, but it's going to be different than alcohol. The way that you're going to test for cannabis, inebriation is going to be totally different. You're not going to do a breathalyzer test. Like they're saying that they have the technology to figure that out. I'm like, okay, but there's so many different ways to consume cannabis that's only going to be like certain cases, like a case use kind of situation.
Well, and you test a bigger guy like me, I could stop smoking weed for like 6 months and probably still fail a drug test.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the way it's stored in my body and the fat I have, it's going to be different on those tests than it is someone who's skinnier. So. It's there's a lot of, don't get me wrong. I definitely think that driving super blasted is wrong.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But when it comes to enforcing those laws and changing people's lives based on different penalties that you assign, we have to have a really good system of perceiving how inebriated we are.
Yeah, exactly. And there has to follow the science. And that's one thing that we're lacking, is the proper science for this. What's up, Gina?
Nothing. I'm just going to say something stupid the way I usually do.
I mean, go ahead and say it.
If you want to find out if someone is high while driving, the officer should ask the question, who wins in a fight? Goku, Superman, or Mighty Mouse? And then see how long it takes them to answer.
That's an
Am I
interesting
wrong?
one. I've never heard that one before. That's an interesting one.
Am I
I
wrong?
don't know enough about Mighty Mouse, man.
But you're going to go look it up now. You're going to go look it up and go like, dude,
Yeah.
Mighty Mouse would win.
I love Mighty Mouse. I was a Mighty Mouse fan as a kid, to be honest.
That's great.
But yeah, we'll get back on the topic of the Albuquerque.
Sorry,
because this
just need to
episode's
break
getting
it
a
up,
little
man.
long. Yeah, no
See,
worries.
that's
Yeah,
it,
yeah. So it looked like the city councilors weren't having it because this vote failed 3-6. As I was writing my post to update about it, they said the vote, and I was like, oh, 3-6, that's bad. Like that's not even close. And so 3 of the city councilors obviously went for it. I think one of the sponsors, was voting for it too as well. But they got across that this isn't the way that we need to be regulating cannabis or tobacco in the first place, is by making it more restrictive, but allowing something that is the issue to go untouched and unscathed. So I'm glad that this conversation is finally coming up and people are actually finally saying something that needs to happen. They're saying the quiet part out loud. And I appreciate Tammy. Sorry, City Council. I'm gonna call you Tammy until you tell me how to say your name and correct me. I butchered the shit out of that. Like people like her, are at least saying the quiet part out loud now. And I am so happy. And I'm like, great. I'm not the only one that's like kind of seeing this, or one of few people that see this and aren't afraid to say something about it. Because I brought this up to the superintendent of RLD, and he pretty much told me that alcohol is federally legal. What are we gonna do about it? I was like, states can create their own regulations, but okay, I see you're giving them a pass.
Yeah, it's just been around for too long.
Yeah, and it's been accepted for too long. It's been seen as the norm. Like when you have a bad day, what do? You go to the bar and have a drink with your buddy. When you get a divorce, what do? You go get fucking plastered. When your friend dies, what do? You get drunk. When I came back from Iraq, what'd I do? Got wasted. We got completely drunk the day we came back from Iraq. Like we didn't give ourselves a chance. Like my buddies showed up where we did our little ceremony getting back with beer. Like it was like a pint of Corona or something like that. And so it's just been the accepted thing. It's going to take us a really long time to reverse all of those hundreds of, if not thousands of years of acceptance of alcohol and drinking, and even the false narratives and science that tried to say that alcohol did have medicinal benefits and everything, was good for the heart, whatever, good for the liver, whatever, whatever they tried to say. And come to find out they were debunked. So it's going to take a long time. So you are right. It sucks that it's been accepted for so long and it's been around for so long in this bubble. And for some reason, cannabis has been thrown in this, like little stigmatized little area for so long that it's going to take a long time. And it's unfortunate that we're still fighting these stigmas. I'm just glad that we have people in charge that have some common sense and a brain on them that can see through this bullshit. And
I'm stoked to hear that, man. That's the first time I think I've ever heard you report something where like people kind of voted the way that you would hope they would. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too. I was really shocked that I thought it was going to be like a 4-5 vote, or something a little bit closer. But no, it was a 3-6 vote, and it was dead in the water. And they had recommended it not being heard anyway, because Tammy was one of the other ones a couple days ago who was like, no, this and this and this. And so when it came to the debate, she came highly prepared, because even the sponsor of this, change, they try to make the claim that they worked with the industry. She kept saying, we worked with the industry. When she was questioned, they asked her, how many people, what are the names of the people you worked with? She named Jeffrey Apodaca and one business in Albuquerque. They didn't say who the business was, but it was literally 2 different people or organizations they spoke to, and that was it. And they said they worked with the industry.
She said Jeffrey Apodaca and one other business, and they didn't say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was like, what? And to me, I mean, nothing against Jeffrey Apodaca, whatever, but that's just one person. And the one business they spoke to is one business. So how are you going to say you worked with the industry when you only worked with certain people within the industry? You're supposed to work with all of the industry and get a consensus. Like they can hold town halls too. They can, do surveys and figure out what the businesses actually are saying and wanting. Because what it was is one of the city councilors thought that the industry, since she said the industry was behind it, she's like, well, it looks like the industry is trying to monopolize the market and blah, 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 essentially close licenses. And I'm like, no, the industry isn't behind this. It's a certain business behind this that wants that so they can monopolize the industry. And they were using their influence and probably their money to do just that. And so it's unfortunate that it's going to be an uphill battle against these people. But I'm glad that she asked that question. Who did you work with? And she scolded her. She says, that isn't the industry. That is one person. And then she started naming some other stuff. This is the industry. This is the industry. That is not the industry. And so I'm glad that they clarified that you guys need to be doing more due diligence of your job and start talking to more people than just, your friends or the people that you agree with, because that's not the way this works. So, I'm glad that it failed. We'll see if some stupid shit like this comes up in the coming weeks, coming days or whatever, because something like this almost flew under the radar. I saw it through a news article. I don't live in Albuquerque, so I don't get all of the, the on the ground stuff there. And I shared it, and then from there we kind of were able to scramble and get some stuff going. But yeah, we're not out of the woods at all whatsoever. So I hope that people vote this November and they vote for the correct people and stop voting against their best interests, just for the fact that they just want their party to win or whatever it may be. So closing remarks, what do you have around that one, on that conversation?
I'm thankful they voted the way they did. I hope to be a little more in tune with these things that are happening here, because we got really lucky that common sense was common this time. You know what I mean? But in the other cases where it's not, we definitely got to come together and talk about it. You
100%.
know what I mean? And that's where, dude, you're a very valuable resource, man. I stop and read almost every post whenever I see it. You know
Well, I
what
appreciate
I mean?
it, man.
I get a lot of good information.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I try to make sure it's as accurate as I possibly can and correct it if it needs to be corrected. So only human. But yeah, I really appreciate that, man. That means a lot, and, you don't always get a thank you for your content, when you make it. So, when I do get it, I make sure to bask in a little bit, because it does feel good to finally get a thank you.
Sometimes it concerns me like that. I just get concerned and then put my phone down and I'm like worried about something. I'm like, I didn't say thank you. I didn't like it.
No,
I didn't like it because I didn't like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. And me, I'm like, oh, this is going to make everybody mad, but they're not going to be mad at me, so I'm happy with that. I'm not the one they're going to be mad at, so that's fine with me. Yeah, but that's pretty much all I had for that conversation and everything. It failed. I'm glad that some common sense exists in the Albuquerque City Council, and they saw through the bullshit. So we'll see what happens going further, in Albuquerque, even here in Las Cruces. Las Cruces took more of a liberal stance than Albuquerque did. Albuquerque actually took a more conservative stance than we did here. We have drive-throughs, 24-hour cells, and they can have dispensaries right next to each other if they want. Actually, there's a dispensary next to a school here in Cruces. So I mean, it's
really,
yeah, it's a charter school, but it's a school nonetheless, and it's downtown. But there was a big old controversy. No issues, because when you go into a dispensary, you're carded like 10 million times. So even if a kid tried to get in, they're gonna get caught. So they haven't reported any issues from that. A lot of this has just been a boogeyman kind of thing, and we're proving them wrong in a lot of instances. Like 24-hour shops are actually proving to be more safe for the businesses, because it's a lot harder to break into a place that's already open, that's already staffed, versus a place that's closed, shut down, no one's there, and you just have cameras. So we also found that those places would get residents that would come over and say, thank you for being here, because since you've opened, my neighborhood's safer. There's less shady stuff going on at this building, and you guys are open all the time, so someone's always there. If something does happen, they're called right away, and the police are here very shortly. So
and there's cameras everywhere.
Exactly,
they bring surveillance all up the wazoo.
Exactly. So I'm hopeful for our future here in New Mexico and in the cannabis industry with stuff like this. I just hope people start to vote with their best interests and not with a color or a party in mind. Just vote for whoever works best for you and what you believe in. Not the Broncos play Tuesday, so they better win kind of situation.
Yeah
It's not the same thing. So
I think your education, you keep educating people about it. That's one of the best things we can do. To make sure people they go out and actually are educated with their vote.
Yeah, 100%. I appreciate that. What's up, Gino?
And that's what keeps you YouTube compliant.
That keeps us from getting banned.
Yeah. Education, my friend. We're educating people.
We're educating on cannabis. We're not even smoking.
That's
I
right.
don't even have pot leaves. It's like a
It's a fern. It's a fern.
It's a fern. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that and I thought of Between Two Ferns, the interview that the guy from The Hangover.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
And I was like, this can't be like that.
If they keep letting me talk, it could be that very easily.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the very last conversation. We're having a fun time today, everybody. We're gonna move on to the last conversation, and this one's probably gonna be a little short. I'm just gonna update you guys what's going on in Congress right now with this hemp stuff. This has nothing to do with legalization or anything. As you guys know, pretty much last year they changed federally. They changed a lot of our laws when it comes to the hemp, the CBD. They even pretty much banned fucking seeds, while leaving clones alone. So to me, it makes no sense whatsoever. And they're basing a lot of this off of the potential of what the plant can be in the parents, not what the plant or the seed is. So that's what blows my mind too. But we're not talking about that. We're just talking about the whole thing in general. So it looks like there's a bipartisan government funding bill that includes a provision to delay the federal ban that's supposed to happen, I believe, on November 12th, and it's going to extend it to December 11th. To me, this is punting it down the road, and the reasoning is that they're hoping that with that additional time from November to December, they can get some kind of legislation through that makes sense, that'll help. I'm not very hopeful of that happening. As you can see right now, our Congress is kind of in disarray. We don't even know where some of our Congress members are. We haven't heard from some of them. One might be an upside down turtle for all we know. So I'm not too sure where that's going to go from here, because November, as you guys know, is our election time as well. So they're trying to at least get it beyond the election time, but I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to change things in
They've
time.
got a possible recess coming in about a week.
Yes.
They've got the election time coming up, and then they got their holiday break. So, you know.
December is when all the holidays happen. So it's just like, and then January, you're going to have a whole new administrations of different states taking over in Congress and then so that. So it's a huge mess. I'm not very hopeful for the, I don't see this really going anywhere. And essentially, there's so many bills, and I've talked about this before. There's so many bills that get introduced and so many don't go anywhere that it's almost better for me to not talk about it and waste everybody's time versus talking about it just because it got introduced. Now, this right here I'm talking about because it's bipartisan. Usually most of these bills that get introduced are not bipartisan. They're only by one party, and they may pick up a couple of bipartisan sponsors here and there. But this one seems to be fully bipartisan. And it looks like Rand Paul is even a part of this one too as well. He's usually a little more progressive when it comes to the cannabis stuff, but having, more key Republicans on the bill gives it a bigger chance, more chance, et cetera, since, some of the other key Republicans either have passed away or are missing right now. So we were going to figure out.
I don't know, Chad. I spoke to him for about 20 minutes last week.
Is he doing good? Is he doing
No,
good?
dude, that's just the running joke.
I know he was going with it with you.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, I ruined it.
Oh yeah, you did the joke and then the joke went over your head. That was great.
Yeah.
I saw Mitch play basketball last night, so yeah, definitely doing a lot better. Yeah, he dunked. Yeah.
Like I think he had like 10 and 2 on 10 points. 2 rebounds.
Yeah, triple double. He did a triple double last night. It was amazing. It was a great feat. Yeah. So, but depending on what happens with our Congress and everything is going to depend on this. I'm not too hopeful on this. I don't see it going anywhere. It would help, I guess, the extra month. I did see something else about they want to do something about drinks, and that's something that I've mentioned before. That's going to help the cannabis industry kind of defeat the alcohol industry are the drinks, because it is more socially acceptable to drink your drug than it is to smoke your drug, because we did make smoking the devil. Smoking anything, the devil in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It became the devil, and now we're trying to say no, it's not. Just this one thing isn't the devil. It's kind of like we're not arguing the right things. So I can see that being a thing. Them trying to protect the drinks, especially in the states that have really embraced it. Like Illinois is one of those states that have kind of embraced the cannabis hemp drinks and stuff like that. They find them in bars, they're at sporting events, and some other Midwestern states are finding some popularity in that as well too. And I kind of feel even in the legal states like here in New Mexico, we're going to start seeing more people go to that are leaving alcohol that aren't cannabis users. So they're going to discover cannabis through the drinks. first, and then go from there. So we'll see. But this bill, I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I have to come on here and correct myself in a couple of weeks or a couple of months and say, hey guys, I'm a dumbass and I was wrong. This actually passed, and this is what's going to happen. But I don't see that happening because they keep referring to this, and I say they, the opponents of cannabis or whatsoever, they keep calling it the THC loophole. And there were, how many? There was a blast of 150 letters. Actually, sorry, a couple of like attorney generals. I want to call them AGs. I want to make sure everybody understands the term I'm using. A bunch of attorney generals from different states, I think it was like almost 30 something states, have written to Congress and like encouraging them to keep the ban and to not, save hemp essentially into, this and that because of an intoxicating hemp and the issues. So that's the other issue with this is even New Mexico, our AG was one of them that signed down on this, and we got freaking legal cannabis here. So,
Yeah, but he's an asshole.
Yeah, kind of. And like Arizona, California's AG, same thing. And they're considered
they're
the
all
liberals.
assholes in California.
Yeah, and like I'm looking at these, I'm like, there's legal states in here that their AGs are signing in on this, and
We're way past the 20 minutes, so we're allowed to curse. This is the thing I don't understand. They're trying to solve for a problem that really doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're trying to
just like the one before.
Yeah, they're more creating a problem than they are trying to solve something. If you don't want the kids to get their hands on it, then do the same things where you don't allow kids to get their hands on alcohol. You don't allow kids to get their hands on drugs that you get prescribed to. They have the opiate. They have other problems that they could be working on the same thing. If you have age requirements, online age verification. I mean, if they can do it for Pornhub, they can do it for cannabis shops.
100%. Yeah, they even have where you have to put your face camera on your phone and verify it's you and turn your head all kinds of
Oh,
stupid
you've
ways.
been to Texas.
We're pretty close.
So we're pretty close, yeah.
What you're saying, since it's like so common sense that like, hey, you could do all these different things that you do with alcohol or you do with prescription drugs. Does it make you feel like, hey, this is probably more motivated by some kind of lobbyist that's got profits behind it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess what he's saying essentially is they could do these things, but they don't. And I would feel that way too, is like some lobbyist is behind that, because I'm a huge proponent of we shouldn't regulate cannabis like alcohol at all. Like the way that they did it, I said it before in this episode, they did it wrong. It's still not working. And the fact that certain places are taking that as the model for it worries me. And going forward, we should separate the regulation types between cannabis and alcohol because they're so vastly different and affect you so differently. Like something like this, and sorry, I forgot where I was going for a second. But with the states, I was like going the opposite direction. With the states signing on like this, it worries me that, the lobbyists, the alcohol lobby, did get to a lot of them, because you have California in here. And like I was like, damn, California's on this list, and like I wasn't surprised to see us on here. And it's hemp.
How have you ever been intoxicated on hemp?
Yeah, exactly. And they kept calling it like you can't get intoxicated by cannabis to start with. Like it's a non-intoxicant. They call it a psychoactive, this and that, whatever. Okay, but it's not a toxin. And they keep calling it, in Texas, we keep seeing those videos of it's a weapon of mass destruction. It's not that either. Definitely not a weapon of mass destruction.
Yeah, destruction of couches.
Maybe destruction of chip bags. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pizza box, if anything. But, it doesn't help that, these many states had signed down, but it's their attorney generals, of course. They don't have the same understanding of cannabis that we have and other people have. They have the cop idea of what cannabis is and everything. So it's unfortunate that we got tied up on it and our AG sent it in, but I wasn't surprised either. New Mexico fought legalization for a long time. There were a lot of conservative Democrats in New Mexico for a long time that just could not get on board with it. But once they left is when we were able to kind of finally push it. But still, there are still pockets of, people who do not like cannabis regardless of party here in New Mexico. And that's unfortunate.
Oh, yeah.
As progressive as we are and people think we are sometimes in New Mexico, we can only be as so progressive, when we have people like that in power. So I hope that something does change. I hope Congress figures it out before November 12th at least, because there's going to be a lot of businesses nationwide. They're going to struggle. Here in New Mexico, we're not going to see as much of a change here since we already have an adult use program. The hemp program hasn't been too crazy as is. So we're not going to see too much of a change here. The seed thing, that's going to piss me off. I'm a grower. I grow at home. And if, the best places that I like to get seeds from no longer want to send to my state, that's going to fucking suck.
We're just going to have to start buying DVDs again.
And t-shirts.
Yeah, bracelets.
Yeah. I need to start making jewelry with beads, right? So,
Hi, Chad.
we're just reminiscing of the old days and what's to come.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get used to some of the old ways again. I'm not even gonna mention it because we're gonna have to use those tactics again, unfortunately, if something doesn't happen, because seeds aren't going to go away. We found out making things illegal doesn't make it go away. You just create a traditional or black market for it. And all the taxes
that you can't regulate.
You can't regulate and you can't tax. So, okay, cool. So Gino told me we're actually at 1 hour and 30 minutes for the episode. I'm gonna wrap this up. I know. I didn't even realize we were talking that long either. Had a great time and everything, but I pretty much had all my points set and everything. I just wanted to reiterate that the seeds, they're going to be illegal here soon, but the clones for some reason aren't. But yeah, I hope something changes. And if anything changes on this front, guys, make sure you pay attention to my social media stuff. This show only happens once a week, and if something happens, I put it on my social media right away. As Shane told you, he learns a lot of stuff from my page and stuff like that and what I post. So I appreciate you paying attention, man, and educating yourself and, staying in the know. And for the rest of you, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do to stay in the know. And Shane, do you have anything else before we leave for the day?
No, just exactly what you said. Pay attention to what Chad has to say and learn something. Speak up. Thank you for having me, by the way.
Thank you for being on, brother. It's been an honor having you on, man. And, I learned so much about yourself and the business and everything. And I'm glad I was able to learn it with everyone else too at the same time. So I look forward to having you on again as well, so we can get an update, see how things go with the slowdown, or if you did slow down. But next season, I'd love to have you on again, and, we'll get an update, and, maybe we'll have more of the guys on and maybe get you in person, or maybe I'll go up there. We'll see.
Maybe you'll have your own office by then.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe have your own office.
I highly doubt it, but well, thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it, man, and we're gonna end the episode. Stay by for a little bit. We'll talk afterwards and everything. So I appreciate everyone tuning in this week. Those on Twitch, thank you for the questions, and thank you for the follows. I will see you guys next week for another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. All right, shoots.
Grassy.